athletic performers who turned the stage into a celebration of strength, control, and showmanship rather than just a display of looks. Episode 1 set the tone by introducing a mix of solo athletes and small groups who blended acrobatics, dance, and stunt work into tightly choreographed routines. The judges quickly reframed the conversation away from the exaggerated idea of 0% body fat, pointing out that the real appeal was the discipline, coordination, and confidence on display. One standout act combined slow, almost sculptural movements with explosive flips, creating a contrast that kept the audience silent and then erupting with applause. The camera lingered on the precision of timing and balance, emphasizing how much training and teamwork were required to make something so demanding look effortless. As the first episode continued, each act tried to raise the bar by adding a personal angle. Some performers shared short backstories about years spent in gyms or dance studios, injuries they had overcome, or the challenge of turning a niche skill into a full performance. What made these moments work was that the judges responded to the storytelling as much as the physical feats. Compliments focused on control, musicality, and stage presence, with reminders that extreme conditioning should never be confused with health or happiness. By the end of episode 1, it was clear that AGT was presenting these contestants not as impossible ideals, but as entertainers who had found a unique way to express themselves through movement. Episode 2 expanded the theme with even bigger production and variety. Larger groups took the stage, using lighting and costumes to turn their routines into visual spectacles. Instead of trying to outdo each other purely with muscle definition, many acts leaned into creativity, forming shapes, towers, and flowing patterns that felt closer to modern dance or circus performance. One group impressed the judges by syncing their breathing and transitions so perfectly that the routine felt like a single organism in motion. Another act surprised everyone by mixing humor into an otherwise intense routine, proving that personality could be just as memorable as physical ability. The judges' commentary in episode 2 reinforced a healthier perspective. They praised commitment and artistry while also cautioning against chasing extremes for shock value alone. The audience reaction mirrored this shift, cheering loudest when performers connected emotionally or took creative risks. Even when routines were visibly demanding, the focus stayed on the joy of performance rather than the idea of achieving an unrealistic body standard. This balance helped keep the show inspiring without crossing into unhealthy territory. Across both episodes, the editing and pacing played a big role in shaping the experience. Quick cuts highlighted moments of tension, while slower shots allowed viewers to appreciate form and synchronization. Music choices ranged from dramatic orchestral tracks to modern beats, giving each act a distinct identity. By the end of episode 2, the theme of being ripped had evolved into something broader, a symbol of dedication, resilience, and the ability to transform hard work into entertainment. Together, episodes 1 and 2 of AGT 2025 showed that audiences are drawn not just to impressive physiques, but to performers who can tell a story, command a stage, and make something incredibly difficult feel meaningful. The early rounds made it clear that while extreme fitness might grab attention, it's creativity, balance, and heart that truly keep contestants moving forward in the competition. Episodes 3 and 4 of AGT 2025 continued the conversation around extreme conditioning, but they also deepened the show's effort to redefine what ripped really means on a talent stage. Episode 3 opened with a strong emphasis on control and precision, featuring performers who treated their bodies like instruments rather than trophies. One solo act stood out for combining calisthenics with fluid dance elements, moving seamlessly from slow balances into rapid strength transitions. Instead of focusing on appearance, the judges highlighted the performer's musical awareness and emotional restraint, noting how the routine felt purposeful rather than showy. The audience response suggested the same, with applause building gradually as the performance unfolded rather than exploding only at the biggest tricks. As episode 3 progressed, the variety increased. A duo brought a partner-based routine that relied heavily on trust, timing, and subtle communication. Their strength was obvious, but what impressed the judges most was how calmly and confidently they worked together, even during the most demanding lifts. Short interview clips revealed how long it had taken them to develop that level of coordination, shifting the focus away from instant results and toward patience and discipline. Another act surprised the room by stripping back the spectacle entirely, performing on a nearly empty stage with minimal music. The simplicity made every movement feel intentional, and the judges praised the courage it took to let skill speak without distraction. Episode 4 raised the stakes by introducing acts that leaned more heavily into theatrical presentation. Lighting, costumes, and storytelling became central, transforming physically demanding routines into short narratives. One group used shadows and synchronized motion to create the illusion of a single shape breaking apart and reforming, earning praise for creativity and visual impact. The judges emphasized that the act worked because it felt complete, with physical ability serving the story rather than overpowering it. This reinforced the ongoing message that extreme fitness alone is not enough to stand out at this stage of the competition. Another memorable moment in episode 4 came from a performer who openly addressed misconceptions about being perfectly ripped. Rather than presenting an untouchable image, the act leaned into vulnerability, showing moments of strain and recovery within the routine. The judges responded positively, noting that acknowledging effort and limitation made the performance more relatable and inspiring. The audience reaction suggested that honesty resonated just as strongly as spectacle, if not more. Across both episodes, the judges continued to steer the conversation toward balance and sustainability. Comments frequently returned to the idea that strength is not just physical, but mental and creative as well. Performers were encouraged to think about longevity, originality, and how their acts might evolve in later rounds. This guidance helped frame the competition as a platform for growth rather than a contest of extremes. The repeated questioning of the 0% body fat myth served as a reminder that such labels are more marketing than reality. By the end of episode 4, it was clear that AGT 2025 was using these highly conditioned contestants to challenge expectations rather than reinforce unhealthy ideals. The most successful acts were those that combined preparation with personality, intensity with control, and power with purpose. Episodes 3 and 4 showed that while impressive physiques may catch the eye, it is thoughtful performance, emotional connection, and creative risk-taking that truly leave a lasting impression and push contestants closer to the next stage of the competition.